You will subscribe to my videos. Hi folks, I'm Jedi Master Matt and welcome to Yub Nub's Halloween special. Here you see Yub Nub is wearing a beard and glasses, and I don't know, he could be anybody, right? I don't know who you are. He won't tell me either. He always wants me to guess. Every year he wants me to guess. But folks, we could be talking about scary things, right? Because it's around Halloween time, so it's time to talk about scary things. And what could be scarier than Disney's new EU? Ah! And we could spend time talking about that. For instance, like Chuck Wendig's upcoming sequels to Aftermath. Yeah, that's scary. So, but we're not going to go in that direction. What we're going to do, oh, Chucky! Ah, I see it now. The glasses, the beard. Oh, dude, that is super scary. You better not answer the door like that. Kids will be like, oh no, don't Facebook stalk me. Oh! You know, oh no, kids, Chuck Wendig's coming to get you and he's going to call you a bigot. All right, well, we could be talking about scary things with Disney's EU and whatnot, but we're not going to do that because Halloween is also up for something else. It's for dressing up, right? In fact, it's very popular to dress up. It's to pretend to be someone that we usually aren't. Think about it. You could do a costume party any day of the year, except no one's really going to feel like showing up, right? Because they feel stupid when they come dressed up. However, on Halloween, everyone's like, yeah! So this Halloween, we're going to pretend, of course, I'm pretending to be a Jedi Master, but let's pretend that Lucasfilm calls me up and says, okay, Jedi Master Matt, we're putting you in charge of Legends. So you're in charge of what stories you would like to see come out of the Legends universe. What would you like? And I'd be thinking, oh gosh, I don't know, that's such a hard thing. It's a good thing I brought a list. So what would I do if I were in charge of Legends? Let's see if you like this list. First off, of course I would make Sword of the Jedi. Now, here's the kicker. I would not have Christy Golden write it. Remember, she told us that she hadn't written any of it yet, even though we know that's baloney because she had written a lot of it, or some of it at least, had been reported. But you know what, Christy? I'm going to give you the year off. I'm going to put Kathy Tyers in charge of that. So we still have a girl writing about Jaina, and I would love to see that and love to see what the story progresses from there. Now, sticking to ABY, the next story I'd kind of tell is a sequel that happens after Sword of the Jedi. I'm not sure what I would call it, but I'm kind of leaning for Legends of the Force. Get it? Legends. Yeah, you get it. Oh, geez. Forgot. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, it would be a play on Legends, right? And in it, it would have stuff like, of course, Luke and the Jedi chasing down and trying to track down Abeloth, trying to wrap up that story. Maybe even the Lost Tribe of the Sith out there, wrap up that as well. But I would also grab a story from West End Games called Other Space, and I would take those aliens who kind of travel interdimensions to come and try to destroy this universe. Get it? They're trying to destroy the expanded universe. Yeah, of course it would all have heavy meaning, but it would be really cool, and I think it'd be an awesome idea. All right, so who would be my authors for this 9-book bulk series of Legends of the Force? Well, I would go with these three in this order. Michael Stackpole. The reason being is I think he's excellent at this. He did a good job previously, and I think he'd be a good person to kickstart this series off. Now, he would be followed by our second author, which would be Kevin J. Anderson. I love Kevin J. Anderson. Of course, I'm going to put him in here. But I think he would be good because one of the biggest complaints here from people is, oh, he goes too big at the end, or he starts off too big of a story. Okay, well, I'll put him in the middle where he has to conform with one or the other, bookend between two other great authors. Who would that other third author be? Troy Denning, of course. I'd have to keep Troy Denning. He's been with this ongoing story, I guess it's called, what, the Legacy era? He's been there for a long time, and I think he should stick to that era because he's so good at telling stories within it. So I would definitely stick him in. He would be a mainstay. So another book I'd like to see is Force Unleashed 3 by Sean Williams. I don't know what it would consist of necessarily. Just finish off the cliffhanger we saw in 2 and maybe give us a little bit more story about the clones. Like I said, I'd love to read another story about that from Sean Williams. I thought the books were okay. I'd also even do the video game if we could have the video game, if you'd even want the video game, but I would do that. I'd be fine with that. Another book I would have finish off is Blood Oath by Elaine Cunningham. Now, this is a book that she was writing, got sick, fell behind schedule, and they just went ahead and canceled it. But rumor has it the story was almost or near enough complete. And it starred Zeke, or Zach, I don't know how you pronounce his name exactly, but it starred him, and that story was mentioned in other New Jedi story errors. So I would hire her, have her finish it off, maybe dust it off, finish it off. It wouldn't take that long, and we could put out a book within the New Jedi Order series, which I think would be awesome. Speaking of other unpublished books, definitely Escape from Dagu, the Clone Wars novel, written by William C. Ditz, would be in there. I'd also have Imperial Commando 2. Now, I know everyone wants to celebrate and go, yes, yes! Karen Traviss coming back. I would not get Karen Traviss to do it. Whoa, 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 don't yell at me. Wait, hold your comments of hate. Let me explain. When I talked to Karen Traviss, she indicated that she would not go back and write another Star Wars book, even if they asked her to. So there's obviously some bad blood between her and Lucasfilm or Lucas Books, so I wouldn't press that at all. And I would just bring in, my two would be Steve Perry, from Shadows of the Empire, of course, and again, Sean Williams. I think these guys did a great job with the MedStar series, that I think they could continue Imperial Commando 2 and give it that quality that we're used to seeing. And that would be the end. That would basically finish off the story of those clone troopers. Now, I haven't forgotten about my comic books, so let me go to comic books and what I like to see there real quick. We'd have John Ostrander in charge of 3 different series. One would be kind of a macro series, meaning it would not be ongoing, but it would eventually end after a while, and that would be Dawn of the Jedi. As you know, I wanted to see where that was leading up to, and I feel that if we gave him a few more miniseries, he could have wrapped up the storyline just fine. So I would let him do about 2 or 3 more series, maybe 6-part series, what's that, 18 books or whatever, and I'd have him wrap up the Dawn of the Jedi series, because I would like to see that. I'd also like to see another Jango Fett miniseries. And this one would just be about Jango Fett, maybe some awesome bounty hunting job he went on. There just wasn't enough stories for me about Jango Fett. I wanted to see more about it before we see him in Attack of the Clones, before all Boba and all this. What was he like beforehand? I want to see more of that. And I think a 4-part miniseries would be fine. I also would do an ongoing comic book with John Ostrander. It would be called Purge. Now, folks, you know that Dark Horse did a bunch of Purge one-shots back in the day with Vader hunting down Jedi. Well, this would be the same premise. We're told that Vader hunts down the Jedi to near extinction. Well, where do we see that? I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to have that in books, but I think this would be better served in comic form. And I think John Ostrander would be the perfect one to say it. He didn't have to kill a Jedi every comic book. He could be hunting big ones or smaller ones, or just, maybe slaughter 1 or 2 every couple of issues. But maybe talk about Vader, what's going on inside of him, and his just uncontrollable rage toward the Jedi. I think this would be a fantastic comic book series, and John Ostrander would definitely be the man to bring life to this comic book. But I haven't forgotten about old John Jackson Miller. Yes, I would bring him back to do Knights of the Republic. No, I'm sorry, no Zane or Griff, but I would have him guest star in it. Don't worry. But I'd have him do another story with another group of people. I think the Old Republic, well, obviously the Old Republic was one of his strong points. He really enjoyed writing that comic book series. It was really good. I'd like him to see if he could do other characters, bring new characters to life, make up some, build another story. Yeah, he could complete a Knight Errant story in there, and like I said, Zane and Griff could make some appearances, but I'd like to have it bounce around some new characters, because I think he's that creative in that era to do so. So that'd be a great comic book series. Speaking of the Old Republic, but toward the tail end, I guess, of the Old Republic, maybe not even the Old Republic, but I would have Drew Karpyshyn write a sequel to Darth Bane's trilogy called Darth Zana. I would love to see it. You would love to see it. We know we would, right? How it kind of ended, how she moved on, who she got as an apprentice, and what they were like. That would be awesome. I'd love to see it, and it would get made if I were the man in charge. Going back to the ABY stuff, because of course I really love that era. After the whole Legends of the Force series that I came up with, I would do a short little trilogy written by Michael Stackpole, and it would be called The Failed Dynasty. Because in Legends of the Force, this would also be the time, I would imagine, that Jaina and Jaga Fell would kind of leave the Republic and, go to the Empire and, kind of start running things from there. So in the Fell Dynasty being established, you could have them rooting out corruption, and maybe even Jaina starting her own, what you remember the Imperial Knights with the gray swords from Legacy. Because eventually I do want these two series to tie into each other, the comic book series and the book series. I think Stackpole could do a really good job establishing the Fell Dynasty. Remember, he basically created Baron Fell. So I would love to see what he would have in store, and I think that would make a really exciting and riveting story, and I would have Stackpole do that. Now, after that series, after that little buffer series between the two big series, I would definitely have another 9-book series. I don't know what I would call it, maybe Destiny of the Force, I don't know. But in this one, we would probably have the old hand pass away, meaning people like Lando, Luke, Han, and Leia. Now, how would I do that? I definitely want it different than the movies, okay? I know the new movies, did you hear the rumor? They're killing off Han Solo? Who said that? Oh, me, right? Like over a year ago. I told you that was going to happen. Oh, and on top of that, Steven Spielberg early this month said what? What did he say? He said there is going to be an Indiana Jones 5 with Harrison Ford starring it. Ooh, it's pretty scary that I can predict the future like that, right? Anyway, in Destiny of the Force, like I said, I may have them go peacefully away or have them die, off, maybe they start off with their funeral or something. Maybe Luke dies peacefully and is taken by the Force. I don't know. Maybe he goes out valiantly, whatever. But definitely Luke and the old group would be out of the picture by this time. And maybe Luke just passed away. And now the Jedi Order have to move on without Luke Skywalker. Now that creates some drama for the Jedi Order and keeps them busy, because on the Republic side, a Hutt war is going to break out. And the Hutts are mad about everything that's been going on, and they're going to break out. They got the secret armada or whatnot, and they're going after the Republic for more land. They're making a land grab, right? Trying to grab a bigger part of the galaxy, carve out more space for the Hutts. Now, I've talked about this with some of you one-on-one, because I think they were eventually leading up to something like that happening. So I think this would be the perfect time and the perfect distraction for the Republic as the Jedi are trying to move on without Luke Skywalker. In this series, Ben would probably also have his kid, and we would see how things would go. Like I said, again, we're moving forward to legacy comic books, and that's where I want to make the bridge. And I mean, I don't know what I would do further than that. Like, I haven't thought. You'd have to check, I guess, next year to see what I do for the next 20 years. But I definitely have, Ben's son grow up, have Cole Skywalker, have Cade, have the Vaughn come back, have that dilemma happening. There's lots of good stories to tell in between there. But those are the stories I'd go as far out from ABY. Now, who would I get to write this Destiny of the Force? I would probably get, I'd keep Denning in there, and I would add Kathy Tyers and Dave Wolverton, because I think both of them, of course I like Kathy Tyers, it's no secret, but I think Dave Wolverton would be really good with this. Now let's rein it back in to some of the other eras. I would go back to the Rebellion era, yes, the Rebellion era, even though there's a billion stories, but it wouldn't be about the big three. These would be written by Timothy Zahn. It'd be called like maybe the Talon Card Adventures. You know how we have the Han Solo and Lando Calrissian adventures? These would be the Talon Card Adventures. Let's hear about him, Ghent, young Mara Jade, before she met Luke. Let's have their adventures together before Heir to the Empire. What were they up to? What did they do? I think this would be a lot of fun and a good use of Mr. Zahn's talents. I think it'd be something interesting and something I definitely like to read about. Now, moving on, I would also have some children's books by Jude Watson. I'm kind of thinking they'd be like Tales from the Jedi Temple or Jedi Praxium, where you're telling more stories of more kids. Maybe they go to the temple, leaving their families, growing up to become Jedi, knights eventually. And it would, and please don't get mad if I say this wrong, but it would kind of be like a Harry Potter one, but not Harry Potter, but you know what I mean, about just new kids coming in and how the regular school days go, and maybe there's an old Sith artifact that gets stolen, because some kid, his parents are poor, and you know, they told him, if you steal this Sith artifact, but then of course it starts affecting him, and the children had to unravel the mystery, and little things like that. I could see things happening. Maybe they go on a mission to some little planet that's not supposed to be dangerous, but ends up being slightly dangerous, you know. I think there's a lot of stories you could tell and center around just new kids. I'd love to see that. And then of course, you know, Jude Watson's just a great children's author, so I'd love to see her do something with Jedi, and I think that'd be an era that she hadn't tackled yet, and that'd be something she'd be interested in doing. I would also have Kyle Katarn trilogy of books. I'd love to see more Kyle Katarn. I don't necessarily have an author, a particular author I'd like to write it. I guess anyone would be fine. You know, now I'm thinking about it, I'd probably have Dave Wolverton write that Kyle Katarn series. I bet he could do a good job with it. Who knows? Next up, I would also have James Luceno write a sequel and a prequel to Darth Plagueis. Yeah, I haven't forgot about Luceno. You all know what the prequel would be, right? Darth Tenebrous. We'd love to read about that, right? And then I would have Darth Sidious, the sequel, take place after the events of Episode 1, maybe even leading up to Episode 2, what he was doing during that time, you know, his wheels within wheels of schemes, and maybe lead up to that. I think that would be really cool, and I know Luceno could do a great job with that. Speaking of the Sith, Drew Karpyshyn would come back, and he would do a Darth Ruin trilogy. I'd love to see that, and I'd love to see Drew Karpyshyn do that. I think he could do a very good job bringing this slightly unknown but very interesting Sith to life. Now, going back to the comic books, I know I'm jumping everywhere, but I didn't put this in any order. And I'm only in charge for a little while, right? I would also have more comic books, and I would use Kevin J. Anderson for these comic books. One would be more Jedi Academy books. Remember, he did some Jedi Academy comic books I thought were decent, but I'd like to see more about Streen, Dorsk 81, Kip Durin. I'd like to see more of their adventures. Maybe even a mini-series, maybe not ongoing. But I definitely want him to do more stuff with him, tells the Jedi era. Maybe continue after the redemption of Ewick Keldroma, which I think is perfect and should be left alone. But I want to go into Nomi Sunrider. Give her some more adventures. Now that she's a strong character, great woman character in the Star Wars universe, give us a great story with her, Kevin. Also, do another series about Vima Sunrider too, comic book series. Now, I know in the past they said that they would kind of like to make these books. You know, Nomi Sunrider, there was rumor that they would come out with a book with her. It didn't get made, of course, because of the sale of Disney. They just stopped talks on that. But I would kind of be against a book, even though I would appreciate a book, but I think she belongs in the comic books. Nomi Sunrider, Vima Sunrider. I would love to see them explain more in the comic books. And since Kevin J. Anderson really just carried the torch from Tom Veitch for Tales of the Jedi, I think he would be the one, the perfect choice to write these stories for the comic books. But I'm not done yet. One more thing. I would have Genndy Tartakovsky come back and do a short series just for 2 little seasons like he did the Clone Wars, but it's New Jedi Order. It's Jedi fighting Vong, and it's rated R for violence. How cool would that be, right? Pretty freaking cool, right? Ah! Oh. Jeez, I keep forgetting. Now that I know who you are, you're so freaky. All right, folks. I really hope you enjoyed Yub Nub's Halloween special. And what are you going as for Halloween this year? Or if it's past Halloween, what did you go as? Until next time, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you next week. If I can see that thing's too low.